AMP2.TV presents Tell Us Your Business, where you're invited on the air to tell us what makes your business stand out in the community. It's important we hear from you to tell us all we need to know about what you do best. Tell Us Your Business uses the latest radio and television production systems, and all shows can be seen on AMP2.TV. If you have a question for our guest, call 888-565-1470. Now, let's get ready as our guest hits the airwaves and informs us about what we need to know on Tell Us Your Business.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tell Us Your Biz. And the whole reason behind it all is because we want to get to know what it is about you, about your business, and what makes it so successful. And I'm so excited. Listen, guys, we're coming to the end of the year. I get it. It's 2024. It went forever. Actually went a little bit longer than usual because this was leap year. Did you know that? Leap year makes it all a little bit longer. So we did one extra day. But with that said, let's sit back, relax, take a breath, and embrace what's to come. And tonight we're going to celebrate a wonderful guest, Christopher Lopez. And come after the break, stay tuned and come and sit with us and enjoy the show.
Do you want the opportunity to have a TV show or podcast? Now at Amp Media Productions, you can host your very own visual broadcast anywhere around the world. With our talented group of creators, we will provide you with show elements, board operations, and any on-screen visuals you'd like to showcase. All you must do is log onto your computer and communicate with your viewers. Contact Amp Media Productions at 866-224-5422 or email hello@amp2.tv to start your own show today.
Meet Jay Harmon, one of the many artists held in the Brooklyn Cafe Gallery. Jay specializes in various different art styles, but his medium to work with is colored pencils. His unique style comes from being self-taught and years of practice. Jay pulls his inspiration from many outlets like people, television, celebrities, and many more. With multiple original pieces, Jay's art graces the gallery with over 40-plus works for viewing and for purchase. His many years of being an artist has given him a chance to partner with the Derwent brand, giving him the opportunity to try many different work styles and further his craft. Feel free to come down and visit the studio to view his work, or if you're interested in your own Jay Harmon original, he's open to commissions on his website, coloredpencilartist.com, or catch his show, The Colored Pencil Artist, on Amp Media Productions on YouTube and Facebook. See you soon.
AMP2.TV presents Tell Us Your Business, where you're invited on the air to tell us what makes your business stand out in the community. It's important we hear from you to tell us all we need to know about what you do best. Tell Us Your Business uses the latest radio and television production systems, and all shows can be seen on AMP2.TV. If you have a question for our guest, call 888-565-1470. Now, let's get ready as our guest hits the airwaves and informs us about what we need to know on Tell Us Your Business.
Welcome back, everyone. And here we have Christopher Lopez. And thank you so much for being here, Christopher. And Cristo, what do you want me to call you?
Christopher's fine.
Christopher. So Christopher, he's here and to promote his book, I Made It, and Then I Didn't. So tell us a little bit about this book. What is it all about? Like, what does it mean? What does the title really mean for the audience to see? You see it here?
That's an excellent question, Alicia. I Made It, Then I Didn't is a story of irony in the sense that a lot of times we focus on things that are material-based in order to define our forms of success. So when we get to the location of what we determine to be successful, we look back on it in irony. We feel as though we did not make it.
And do you feel like that you can utilize that philosophy or that technique in all aspects of your life, probably, huh?
I believe so. There's a testament to gratitude and humility that's important that I try to communicate in the book, especially as it pertains to a path that's unconventional, when individuals do not understand or identify with the way that you particularly move and misidentify you, where you can be your own self-critic or your own self-proponent to prop yourself up and objectively realize where you've come and the accomplishments that you've done, regardless of peer association or recognition.
That's interesting. Do you feel like because we are our own worst critic, as you and I were talking about on the break, is that something that can stump a lot of people's growth, probably?
I think so. I think a lot of times we allow other people's thoughts, especially narratives. Narratives are important because a lot of times we allow others to create a narrative to frame things a certain type of way where we can feel as though the narration is true. And a lot of people, unfortunately, are persuaded by that.
Interesting. And do you feel like this is something that it's what helped you, obviously, to be successful in this life, and financially, in all aspects? What can you share with our audience about how you utilize that in business?
That's a really good question. I think the first thing that everyone has to recognize is you're going to have a very strong sense of self-worth, which is different than value. People find value in all types of things. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. Intrinsic self-worth is something that is uninfluenced by the opinions of others. It is definitely a very difficult thing to do in order to retain your self-worth with your own identity when people may not have very much value for it. You know, if you walk into business and say, hey, I deserve a $10,000 retainer, and everyone says, I don't see the value there, it doesn't mean that what you're offering isn't worth $10,000. It just means that the person doesn't have any value for it. And I try to go over that in the book.
And what is it that inspired you to write this book?
You know, I've always been an outlier.
A what? I'm sorry?
An outlier, kind of like an individual that very difficult to identify with. Like, who is he? What does he do? Don't understand why he wants to go about it that way. Very unconventional. I've been called a blindsider, very spontaneous, an individual who looks like he doesn't have a plan, an opportunist, many different things. And at the heart of all that is just moving in a way that's unconventional and creative, because I'm an artist. I love drawing. I love writing poetry.
Wow.
And all these things come from inside.
Yeah.
And it's an inspiration that just kind of flows outward. And I like to express that in business, which is sometimes different because no one's ever seen it done that way before.
And is that, you were talking about inspiration. Someone once told me that inspiration comes from God. And I thought that was a beautiful way to see it, because inspiration is the root of creativity, I feel. So with that aspect, speaking of, is that something that you utilize a lot, your faith, or is that something that you're very in tune with, your faith and creativity and inspiration with God?
It's interesting that you bring up God. So, you know, on my chest, I have a Templar shield. Now, Templars were warriors of God, and they were individuals that ascribed to things based on faith, which is the belief in something in the absence of evidence. And I can tell you with undue certainty that faith is required to walk the path that I've walked.
Okay. So you feel like that's what really has kept you going over and over, because how did you come up with I made it and then I didn't? I'm sorry, not and, there's no and. I made it, then I didn't. Why? You made it and then you didn't?
So the story behind the title was, I'd been sitting in my house. You know, I had a first marriage that failed and collapsed. And I remember, you know, my then ex-wife at the time saying that I worshiped money, which was not something that I thought I did. But I had made a choice to do everything that I could in order to just be what is called successful. So I sat in my home, you know, being privileged enough to have purchased it without a mortgage. I had no debt.
Wow.
I had all these different things around me, and it was the emptiest house that I had ever been in. I remember we had made there was a business associate that we had traveled to see in Michigan. He had something called a cloud couch from Restoration Hardware. For those that are not familiar with it, one section is like $4,000.
Right, right.
And I remember my whole family had fallen asleep on it at the time, just me,
huge.
her,
It's
and my
huge.
daughter.
Yeah.
And that was like our dream couch. And I realized I was sitting on our dream couch, but there was no dream.
Wow.
There was nothing there that had of substance. And it started me down this path of realizing what should be important. And that's where the title comes from. I made it, then I didn't, because I felt like I didn't make it.
Mm-hmm. Because you didn't have that, like, was it Maslow, the pyramid of, what was it called? The pyramid of...
where it has no top at the, no.
No, it's Maslow, of complete, like, fulfillment.
You're talking about Maslow's laws.
Yes.
Of needs, laws of needs.
Yes, but the top is self-actualization.
Correct.
And that's where you were empty. So your pyramid was just like, okay, you have all this, but then you get up there, but then what do you have? Just because you have all of this stuff, which doesn't last forever, you weren't fully fulfilled. Is that what it means? Then I didn't.
Correct. So within that spirit and that light, I've come to realize that the substance of it all, especially has been captured, and there's a very good book, not my own book, it's called Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, Holocaust survivor. Talks about a man's ability to bear any uncertainty and suffering based on what is the requirements that that man needs in order to survive and persevere. And he found, over 90%, you got to think about this is the Holocaust.
Yeah.
And, you can't run a humane experiment like this again, because the Holocaust is a horrible thing. Should have never been done. And what he did is he saw it as an opportunity to learn, as these men were dying, the ones that survived, what kept them in common. And all of them had a purpose. It came from deriving their purpose from work, right? Very few of them. There was one scientist in particular who held on because his work would be unfinished. So he needed to get back to university to complete his work, and only he could do it. He survived. But the overwhelming majority of them survived based on love, love for a woman, love for their children, love. That was the primary driving factor for most men to endure unspeakable acts of torture and still survive. And so that was a very big eye-opening perspective for me.
Of course.
And that's how he survived. He used to imagine him seeing his wife one day and all the things that they would do. Now, his wife passed away, but it was his love for his wife that pushed, and he credits it. And so going back to what you brought up earlier, talking about faith, well, they say God is love. And there you go.
Wow,
So.
wow. That's very powerful,
Yeah.
very powerful. And now let's talk about the film that you've made. It's still in post-production right now, right?
Correct.
And the film is called I Made It, Then I Didn't, based on the book. But it's your story.
Correct. So what we have is, it's called Rise of the Hustler, just to do a slight correction there.
There you go.
And
That's
it's in a
right.
post-production. Tyler Gallant and Susanna Demouni star as the main leads. Joe Mignon, Joe Rubo also play very strong support roles in it, as well as Rick Sykes as primarily one of the lead managers. And it is a fictional story inspired by true events.
Okay.
And so that would be a keynote right there.
Oh, so it's not based on your story then.
Inspired by true events.
Inspired. Oh, wow. Right. So you have in the film, there's all little incidents that has to do with what kind of happened to you.
Very similar. It'd be like looking at a cousin and saying, wow, you guys clearly grew up together and clearly wanted to do something very similar.
That's a great example.
Yeah.
That's a great example. Wow. I'm very excited to see that movie because it's such a testament, I think, to what you've written and what you were what you've put together, and like how this has now, how many countries? 8 countries.
So
#1 bestseller.
Correct. So international bestseller in 6 countries, and it was recently nominated. Well, actually received the award for the International Impact Awards for 2024 in business, brand, and marketing. So that was my very, very big thanks to Nam, who's the CEO out there. There'll be a nice gala there in February where it'll be televised. Very nice event.
Oh, wow.
So
I'm so proud of you. I'm proud of you, meaning I admire you, and I really admire what you've accomplished, because I think that you have given hope to a lot of people. There's so many great entrepreneurs or people who are just trying to make it in this life in one form or the other. And I think that this is a testament of what can be done. And I think that you're setting a great example, and it's great for your children to see.
I appreciate that. I think a lot of people don't value what a triumph actually is. And a triumph is failure. It's just failure. So, it's, no secret. I talk about it in my articles, my free articles that I write in, and also in the book. It is a topic of the FBI pursuing our fictional character, Christian De Leon. Illegal issues are going to happen. Narratives are going to be created. And it's in those moments where you have character defining moments, which is, what do you do with this thing? You have individuals or people based on suspicions and hunches that will accuse you of things. And sometimes these people will be in positions of power and authority.
Yeah. Wow.
Some of them will abuse it. Some of them will become obsessed with being right. Being right doesn't matter if it's truthful or not, they just need to be right. It's like winning. And we've seen a lot of that play out in the political theater. I think Democrats and Republicans both evenly have seen that, not to get too political. But you have that culture within government, which is individuals who, definitely not all of them, but some, that wish to be right, simply whether it be to secure their job, to secure funding for their department, to get a promotion. And it's prevalent in everywhere within government, whether it be in law enforcement, the Judiciary Committee, or so on, or any element of government seems to suffer from this. And I think that as an individual who's subject to that, you still have to have respect for it. You still have to recognize that there's a need for it. But when someone gets something wrong, which they do, and they will, because everyone gets things wrong, we don't need to be prejudiced towards them or defame them or tear them down, but we have to recognize that narratives do not represent the truth. And you have to be strong enough to realize that I can take this narrative that is negative and use it as a foundation and a cornerstone to provide an example to others, like you said earlier, with hope, to give them a testament of triumph. And every hero and villain have the same origin stories. The only difference between the villain and the hero is the way they handle it.
That's true. You're right. The way they handle it. You're talking in a way that almost sounds like you could go into politics. Is that something that has ever came to mind?
No more. I wouldn't do it anymore. I think I've seen the mechanics and the beast of the machine. I think if I were to ever do something like that, it would be so relentless that I'm not even interested in it. I would love to do something for the community. I would love to do things to help people. I'm an active member of a church called Anchor Bend Church. I think that my primary passion, if I could just have my own time, would simply be to go help people. Unselfishly, without any financial gain or interest in it. And that is what my pursuit of resources is about.
Well, I see that as you're speaking, like the amount of people that you can help that have no clue how to gear themselves and which direction to go to. And I think that you are very good at that, and you're very well spoken. And I think that you have a humility to you because of your past experience, that you know how to communicate to these people. Like I could see it. I don't know. I don't know. Your wife is right there. Do you agree? Yes. I agree. She agrees. Yay. Okay. So I'm just saying this because what you have to offer. There's a book that I read before, and I love it. In The Purpose-Driven Life, it says that we are given gifts to give. If we don't utilize our gifts, then we're just stealing it from the world because they're not getting it. And I feel like this over here. Is this your first book?
That is the original. Correct. I do have a second book out, but that is the original.
And where can they find this book?
On my website, ChristopherKLopez.com.
Okay. And also the upcoming movie, Rising of the Hustler. When is that tentatively coming out?
I would probably say, it's interesting about movie release dates. A lot of times you have timing of market and what is saturated versus not saturated. There's a lot of movies that have been in the can for a long time, and they get released 2-3 years after they're done.
Yes.
And a lot of it is just timing, what's coming out, You don't want to compete with a certain genre. Yeah. These are the political things that I've learned. You can film a movie, you can make one, you can finish it, you can get it edited, and then you have distribution. When do they feel like releasing it? And that's been something I've learned the hard way.
Well, I want to hear more about this. Well, we have to take a short break, but I just want to finish off with thank you so much and for being here. Thank you, Christopher. Thank you so much, ladies, and we love you. And please, I don't know about you, but I think he needs to have his own show.
AMP Media Futures Foundation is a non-for-profit organization dedicated to providing college students with immersive opportunities in media production, marketing, business skills, and communication.
Interns will learn professional workflow skills in editing, video and radio broadcasting, public relations, digital media, graphic curriculum, and access to equipment to make a positive impact.
AMP Media Productions is a full-service production house with a variety of shows ranging from the Brooklyn Cafe show.
Welcome to the Brooklyn Cafe on a very busy Wednesday.
Sarah Spiritual.
Right here on the Oldies Station, you're listening to Spiritually Speaking with Sarah.
Call me Zena.
Teach by example, and that's what I try to do all the time, to teach by example.
You know, Artist Loft.
Using that term more. Yeah, lofties, yeah.
And Gypsy Soul.
They love music. It's like their favorite thing to go to.
I teach like preschool up to 12th grade.
Yeah, nice.
You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram at AMP Media Productions. Please like and subscribe to all of our shows.
I want to be in first class champagne, please.
Giant comfort.
Yeah, that's good. We offer opportunities to excel in the field of TV film production, social media management, video editing, set design, graphic design, sound engineering, journalism, and many more useful tools to help you land a career in the media business.
To volunteer or be a part of our team, or to make a donation of any size, please visit us at ampfutures.org. Help us to empower college students to create a positive impact with immersive hands-on experiences in media production. Help us amplify the future.
AMP2.tv presents Tell Us Your Business, where you're invited on the air to tell us what makes your business stand out in the community. It's important we hear from you to tell us all we need to know about what you do best. Tell Us Your Business uses the latest radio and television production systems, and all shows can be seen on AMP2.tv. If you have a question for our guest, call 888-565-1470. Now, let's get ready as our guest hits the airwaves and informs us about what we need to know on Tell Us Your Business.
We're here with the great Christopher Lopez, and we're talking about I made it, then I didn't. Now, Christopher, before we go on to the next thing, I just wanted to know, was there anything that was difficulty when you were writing this book? Any highs or lows or anything that was difficult to write it, or that you had to stop and you just had to really just take it all in and had some kind of emotional upturn? What was it? Anything like that?
Absolutely, and that's a really good question, Alicia. I think the best forms of art come from actual feelings and emotions, and this was a very cathartic book. It was something that really kind of cried out from inside, and one of these things that drove me was I had a very close person who was supposed to be like my brother betray me.
Wow.
And
wow.
It was someone that I keep his name out and I create fictional names, but it had to do with my first biotech company. This was a person that I watched really want to save himself and really wanted to get married to a particular person. And he was put in a position where he was required to lie in order to marry the woman that he loved. And it was a very difficult position to be in.
Yeah.
but I watched him make up things that were just not true, all in an effort to try to save himself. And so that was a very difficult part. I had to rewrite it a few times to not sound like I was complaining. Essentially, I had to find value. This isn't an autobiography, and that's important for the readers to understand. I'm not here to tell you the story of my life. I'm here to teach you specific examples that you can relate to in this book as it pertains to personal experiences that I actually went through, so that it's not just an emotional rant. It's a way for you to empathize and understand that, hey, I went through this position. I actually experienced these things. And if you can relate to me on an emotional level, you can see how I navigated it.
You know, and I noticed that in life, you know, there's this saying, there's no success without failure. And I think that failure, and it makes us want to humble ourselves, not makes us want to, it allows us to humble ourselves. So when we're low, we can look up and see the opportunities. Speaking of, tell me, what do you have ahead for you? What's the next step? What's the next virtue or incredible journey you're on?
So I'm glad you asked that. So I've really thought about who can I help? Specifically, who is it that needs something? You know, for me as an author, one of the things that I felt was really lacking in the marketplace was true individuals that would give you a how-to. There's a lot of motivational speaking, and I always say I don't believe in the religion of positive thinking. It's not something I subscribe to. I know many people do, and God bless them. I do believe that that can be very helpful, and it can be very useful. But the thing that I think a lot of people who are already motivated are looking for is, how do I do this? So I have another book coming out, and I'm flirting between one or two titles. The first title would be called The Indictment Millionaire: How to Turn Cash Seizing Assets into Enrichment. That's a pretty good title.
Okay, yes, that is a pretty good title.
And the second one is how to take your indictment and turn it into dollars.
Ooh.
Which is, and it would be a guide. The subtitle would be something like a guide to using your current indictment as the ultimate authoritative source.
Well, I look forward to reading all of that and getting to know you and your family better, because I'm very, very, very honored to have you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alicia.
Happy New Year. God bless you. God bless your beautiful family. And thank you so much for being here. So a round of applause for you and to everything that you're doing. And thank you. And guys, if you need to find him, you know where it's on. The website should be on the lower of the screen, and his name is Christopher Lopez, as you know, and then you have all your website is already placed there, right?
Correct.
So please look into it. I made it, then I didn't. Story of most people's lives. But this one, yeah, most successful people's life. That's what I meant. And for you, Christopher, thank you so much for being here and sharing a little bit of you with the world. Thank you so much. Thank you. Until next time. Bye, guys.
This has been Tell Us Your Business, where a special guest comes on every week and tells us what they do. All shows can be seen on amp2.tv, and if you wish to be a guest, call 866-224-5422 and tell us about your business. That's 866-224-5422. This has been an AMP